Hey y'all. So this was me last year on my birthday at the restaurant, and my birthday's in a few weeks, October 25th. It's a national federal holiday. National and federal? I don't know, but it's a big deal. Yep, that's me. And I'm wearing a sash that said birthday queen or something. I can't remember because I'm crazy. Anyway, this one's a doozy, and I'm going to give my input. I'm going to give my input. You know how I do. Y'all know how I do. You know. Okay, so I will post the video in the description, and this is from Dr. Deloney, and they've been married for 15 years, and her idea of being a wife is to have 50 kids or something. Well, the last kid was the sixth child, and he went sort of behind her back and got a vasectomy. Not what I mean by sort of, he definitely did it, okay? But they had discussed it before, and she had made up her mind that that wasn't what she's trying to do. But at the same time, they've discussed it before, and she just wants her whole identity is being a mother, being a mother, being a mother, being a mother. And it's like, girl, you got six kids. That's enough. That's my opinion. Okay. So Dr. Deloney was like, I wonder if your husband, I'm not going to tell the whole thing because I'll spoil it for you, but Dr. Deloney said, um, I wonder if your husband is a prop for you, meaning you use him to fulfill your dreams of having a lot of kids. And she said, I hadn't thought of it that way. Now, here's my deal, okay? And you'll enjoy watching this because it gives you a lot of insights. He's super smart. He's got so many degrees and PhD, and he's just smart as a whip. He has his own show. Oh, I've been so busy. Okay. So, anyway, um, my thing is this. Well, let me backtrack. Dr. Deloney, John, he also said it seems like you are trying to be in control because she's hurt and she's devastated and she's angry. She's mad at him for getting a vasectomy behind her back, but it's not totally behind her back because they have discussed it before. He just went around her and went and did it anyway because he ain't trying to have six more, you know, kids and 10 more kids or whatever the case is. And he said something about her being in control. And she said, she admitted it. She said, yeah, I do have to. And you know what's funny? As John's talking and as she's talking, I'm talking to my phone going control freak about her. Well, John said that. He said, it seems like you have to be in control. She said, I can be a control freak. And I'm like, there, ding, ding, ding. I guessed it and I was right. And he said, people don't like to be controlled. Amen, amen, and amen, and tell it. Tell it. People do not like to be dominated. People do not like you telling them when they can and cannot use their phone. People do not like you telling them when or they should go to bed. Okay? And the individual who spies on my channel knows I'm directing this at him. Morticia. You don't tell people that they have to finish their meal in a setting. They're not allowed to bring the rest of their meal home. You don't tell somebody when they can use their cell phone with lame ass excuses as to why. You don't tell somebody when they should go to bed. Okay? People do not, Dr. John said it. Amen. Thank you, John. You are thebomb.com. He said, people do not like being controlled. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, do either the couple or the wife that called in, are either one of them, oh God, excuse me, I'm so sorry, or either one of them toxic? I don't get the impression that they are. But if somebody's trying to dominate, and this is what I want for my life, even though we're married, but this is the picture that I want for my life, and by God, you need to be on board. You got the wrong idea to be married. Because you are a team. When you are married, you are a team. You work together. You strategize together. There's not somebody standing or sitting on a throne and everybody else or their spouse is a peasant at their feet. And I'm going to crack this huge whip. I'm going to crack this whip and things are going to go my way. You understand that? How dare you get a vasectomy behind my back? I was ready for more kids. Well, guess what, sweetie pie? You sitting here talking about financial problems and you want more kids? You think it's cheaper to have more kids? Are you stupid or crazy? Which one? People kill me with that. We struggling. Now let's get some more kids going. You're not thinking. You are not using your thinking cap. And with the rising cost of inflation, you must be insane. On top of all of that, you got to be insane. Kids ain't cheap. They ain't never been cheap. Never. So what in God's green earth are you doing? Not only that, but let's reverse the situation. Let's go backwards in time. Let's jump in the time machine, shut the door, and we're going back in time. Before you get married, and I'm going to use a lot of logic here, so please forgive me. Okay? Don't you think you should be discussing that before you say I do, how many kids we going to have? Did y'all not have that discussion? That's crucial. You need to discuss, are we having kids? You need to discuss religious beliefs. You need to discuss what do we think about money? Do we save money? Do we splurge sometimes? We save and occasionally we splurge, or we go on a vacation once a year, or, how do we figure out how to cut our bills back? Because there's ways you could cut your electricity back. You can insulate your windows. You can insulate your house. There's things that you could do to cut back, especially if you want to go on vacation. Let's just pretend that you want to go on vacation every year. That's something that you got to learn how to cut back on other things so you could save money and put that towards your vacation. There's ways it can be done. With 6 kids, good luck. I don't know. That's going to be hard. But again, you sitting here talking about finances are a problem and you want to pop out 50 kids. That don't make a god dang bit of sense. It don't. Come on now. And they're going to keep you busy for a lifetime. And once they start popping kids out, you're going to have 1 million grandkids. You're going to be busy as hell with kids upon more kids. You ain't got to worry about that no more. You don't have to be the one that's a baby dispenser. Your children will have kids. Hopefully not when they're in high school, because that seems to be the norm now. Girls getting knocked up in high school. I don't understand that, and I never will. Besides the point. You don't get married unless you discuss crucial things. How do you feel about relocating? I've talked about that 100 times. How do we feel about money? Can we afford to go on vacation every year? How do we feel about visiting each other's family? Do we go out of town for the holiday? Do we see your family for the holiday? See my family for this holiday? We go here for Christmas. We go there for Thanksgiving. Come on now. Religion is a big deal. That talk is really big. Because if you are into God, for example, and that person is an atheist, y'all gonna have some serious problems. I'm not a Bible beater at all. I'm a thug sometimes. I could be a fucking gangster, especially when I'm mad. Because I'm tired of people and I ain't getting no younger and I'll start hitting people. Stop being stupid. I ain't got time for stupid. But the Bible specifically says that you shall not be unequally yoked, which means you should be connected. And if one person believes in God, the other one is bragging about being an atheist because God knows they love to brag about it. They got to tell every damn body like it's a badge of honor. Okay, and it's stupid and dumb. You're unequally yoked. Okay, and even on not such a grand scale, but he loves his woman barefaced, no makeup ever, and you like a full face of makeup every day. Y'all gonna argue about that. But then again, if this person is a control freak and you better not wear no mascara. I told you when we were dating, you don't wear that. You don't tell grown ass people what to do. Anybody who does that, if you get married, you're going to be miserable. If you date people, you're going to be miserable. Your partner's going to be miserable because you're an asshole. You're a control freak asshole. Nobody wants to be dominated by someone else. So you're going to have problems. When somebody reaches the age of an adult, they expect to be treated like an adult. Anyway, and how many kids should we have? That's a big freaking question, and that's a big freaking deal. How in the hell do you get married and y'all didn't have that discussion, or you had the discussion and you agreed to it and then somebody flipped after we said I do? That's a bigger problem because that is not what you all agreed to. Now you want to change it and you're getting mad because the narrative has changed. You try to change the narrative of what we agreed to, and you wonder why your relationship is standing on cracked ice. Thin ice, cracked ice, and about to crash. Because we agreed, and now you try to walk backwards and do something else. And then you wonder why I'm not okay with it. And, and they're not intimate anymore, you know. And sex isn't everything, contrary to what men believe. Sex ain't everything. But when you're married, it is a part of your marriage and it is a part of your connection. And when that's not happening, it is an indication that something else is missing too. Usually it's a lack of communication. It could be resentment. It could be anger. It could be one person withdraws physically, sexually, and then the other person withdraws too. So now you're going nowhere as fast as possible. You are going nowhere as fast as possible. So John gave great advice, which he always does. He's a very smart man. He's got multiple degrees and oh god, I can't even remember everything he's got a degree in. Okay, a degree in I don't know. He's got a PhD in I can't remember. He's got a lot of education under his belt. He's a very smart man. So his advice was spot on. And when you are in a marriage or when you are in a relationship that could possibly go into marriage, you have to have the ability to be vulnerable to each other. Okay? You have to have the ability to be vulnerable to each other. And that doesn't, again, you're not sitting on a throne cracking a whip. That's you trying to be a dictator because something's wrong with you mentally. But if you're on the same team and nobody feels like I'm such a tiny little termite that I have to dominate other people, if you're both on the same team and you both have the same mindset, neither one of you is toxic and domineering, then you have to practice being vulnerable to each other and doing things you don't want to do. Your spouse is sitting on the couch and you like to sit in their lap, or straddle them and say, babe, you always do this. whoever's on the couch, the other one always sits on their lap and puts their arm around and you hold each other, or whatever it is that y'all do, or sit close on the couch and feed each other popcorn, or whatever it is that you do. You snuggle and watch a movie, whatever your routine is, but you don't want to do it because you're mad. What if you doesn't want to do it because you're mad? But that's something you do that brings you closer. Then you have to make yourself do it because that's your routine to snuggle on the couch or whatever we do. And babe, yeah, it hurt my feelings when you said such and such the other day. I didn't realize I hurt your feelings. I didn't mean anything by it. I know, but it hurt me when you said it. I don't think you were being malicious, but it did hurt my feelings. That's called being vulnerable. And, when people get angry, they want to stomp their foot, put their hand on their hip, and say, I done told you. Bah! And that's going to get you nowhere extremely fast. Who the hell are you yelling at? Who the hell are you yelling at? Okay, that is not going to get you anywhere, okay? It's just not. It's not going to get you anywhere. But, my feelings got hurt when you said that. That's called being vulnerable. You're not putting your hand on your hip. You're not stomping your foot. You're not wiggling your index finger in their face and wiggling your neck back and forth. I don't know who the hell you think you are. Because you're hurting a person in their spirit. And that is the worst thing you could do, because so many of those situations, they will be permanently hurt in their spirit and you will never recover from it. And you are destined to be single. Communication is everything, and the proper communication is everything. That is the reason why I said when things get hot, it gets heated, you got to go for a walk, or you got to go, I don't know, go get your favorite shake. You weak for strawberry shakes. Or one of my weaknesses is back in the day, oh God, it would taste so good, I about pass out. It was a drink from Orange Julius, strawberry banana drink from Orange Julius. Oh my God. I would lose every bit of my mind for that. Okay. Maybe you need to go to Orange Julius. I don't even know if it exists anymore. I think it does, but hell, I don't know. Whatever is your kryptonite, maybe you need to go get that and sit in the car, go to the park, sit in the car and calm yourself down, or listen to your favorite music, or go soak in a bubble bath, or whatever it is that you need to do to decompress. Go walk the dog. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got an alarm going off. I got to take pain meds. Communication is everything. Without it, it's basically the batter when you make a cake. And if you don't have batter, you're not making a cake. Communication is the batter. And anger and resentment get you nowhere quick. Silent treatment gets you nowhere quick, because your partner will match your energy, even if they're the type to be more vulnerable than you, and they are the type to come to you first the majority of the time. They're going to get exhausted with that, and they're going to eventually quit doing that, because we keep going around and around a merry-go-round with the same behavior, and I'm just going to go in the room and shut the door and do what I want to do, and I'm going to shut you out too, because I'm sick and tired of always being the one who's vulnerable, and you're always the one that I have to come to help you calm down so that we can communicate. So you have to be vulnerable. You have to do it. You're supposed to fall into each other, not away from each other. That's why you're a team. That's why you are a marriage. Okay? When you watch, I'm not into sports, but when you watch sports, the teams huddle together and they discuss strategy. You will never see a teammate standing there while the team is planning the strategy and one person decides to fold their arms across their chest and turn their back away from the strategy. Like, I ain't talking to none of you fools. You're not going to see that. That's not what teams do. They work together. A marriage is no different. You plan what you're going to do and you do it. You both agree and you do it. And even if one person has, I don't know, maybe an anger problem and it's real hard for them to come down from it, maybe you guys can have a code word. Or, babe, you're doing it again. What do you mean I'm doing it again? You're spiraling and I need to bring you back down so we can discuss this in a normal tone of voice without screaming at each other. It's easier said than done. That's why you go get your Orange Julius until you calm down. Or your pizza or whatever. In New York, I must tell you this. In New York, I got used to buying pizza by the slice. And then I go to these other places, these other states. I live in these different states and they don't have it by the slice. What do you mean you don't have it by the slice? Because I'm used to that. And I assume everybody does it. No, they don't. Unfortunately, they do not. I gotta buy a whole pizza. Or I gotta buy a personal pan pizza. What kind of bullshit? And I'm talking, anybody who's been to New York is probably nodding and laughing listening to this because they freaking know. You buy it by the slice, and we're talking big ass slices where you have to fold it in order to put it in your mouth because that sucker is big. And you go to different states and you have to buy a whole pizza. That's a bunch of BS. What the hell kind of ridiculosity is this? Okay? You get used to that and you're like, oh, hell no. What do you mean you don't do it? Get your manager. What the hell? But anyway, if you haven't subscribed to Dr. Deloney, you might want to do that. He's so smart and he's so on the ball. And yeah, I thought she was a control freak and he thought she was a control freak. So I was proud of myself for picking up on that. I want this amount of kids and how dare you prevent me from doing it? Nope. You're a team. Y'all discuss that and agree together. It's not what image in your head of what you want your life to look like because that is not what you discussed. And if y'all didn't discuss it before you got married, both of y'all are silly because that's something you have to discuss. Are we having kids? How ideally, how many? What is our budget going to look like? Are either one of us going to change jobs or go to school, further our education? Because that affects your finances and all of that. I mean, come on now. You can't just get married because we're in love. Oh, there's a whole lot more to it than that. And whatever you don't address, it will rear its ugly head as soon as you say I do or not long after. Eventually, it'll rear its ugly head because you didn't discuss it beforehand, which is your responsibility to discuss it and agree beforehand. Okay? Anyway, you guys take care. Much love, and I'll talk to you fine folks later. Bye.